As an Amazon reseller, it's very important to understand how to utilize Keepa, and not just the basics of Keepa charts and reading those graphs, but also how to utilize all of the data set features that we get access to as Keepa subscribers. This is the #1 tool as an Amazon reseller. And so today I'm going to go through a few very quick gems that I feel are a great way to start using the Keepa Data Product Finder that will really speed up the amount of leads that you can find, the amount of profitable products that you can find, especially in ungated categories for your own account, and ultimately you can grow and scale utilizing just a few of these methods moving forward. Now, this will apply to resellers for arbitrage, where you're buying from a store and selling it on Amazon. It will also apply for wholesale, and I really love using the Keepa Data Product Finder for wholesale, and you can apply these methods to whatever type of selling that you're doing. But before we get into that, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy Smith, and I built and scaled multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses online. I've trained thousands of other sellers to do the same, and I make these videos because I like to help those that are seeking financial freedom online to be able to start, grow, and scale their Amazon, Walmart, or other e-commerce businesses. And so let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand, which are some hidden Keepa gems that a lot of sellers don't really realize are there and how they can use them. So now that I have my screen pulled up here, we can start to go through some of the first ways that you can utilize Keepa to find very highly likelihood ASINs that are going to be for arbitrage or wholesale possibilities. And so that's what I love about Keepa is you can use the millions of different data combinations to find with pinpoint accuracy the right ASINs that you're looking for. Now, obviously there's going to be more that goes into it, right? You have to source a supplier, you have to do a lot of other things. But the very first thing, if you're looking for an opportunity that you can sell on Amazon, that you're doing arbitrage or wholesale, you need to start thinking about those ASINs that are typically going to look like an arbitrage or wholesale ASIN. Now, you're probably not going to be looking for ASINs with just one seller on them. Now, that doesn't mean that I never have sold on a listing with just 1 or 2 sellers on them. That happens all the time. But if you're trying to really look at the opportunities that exist with Keepa, let's start with ASINs that have a lot of sellers, because then we can use that as a good kind of foundation for building our future sourcing sessions with Keepa. So in looking at the Keepa Product Finder, what you want to start with to kind of use this method anyway, and there's dozens and dozens of different methods that I personally use, is you want to go down to the new offer count. And we want to find things that have a lot of FBA sellers. Now, the reason I like to use this with a lot of FBA sellers is not because I want to necessarily sell on these ASINs, but it's because this means that it's a high likelihood of opportunity to be an arbitrage product or a wholesale product, because there are a lot of other FBA sellers. Then you know it's not private label, you know it's not exclusive wholesale, you know these sellers are finding it somewhere, whether it is arbitrage or wholesale. This gives you the opportunity to do so. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to just start with new FBA sellers in the offers section as 8 or more currently. Now, this is not average, this is current. We've got over 55,000 products. And I'm also going to make sure that there's at least been an average over the last 180 and 365 days of 3 sellers, just because I want to make sure that, long term, it's had a lot of sellers as well. And so we're still at 55,000 products in this case. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I'm not necessarily looking to compete with Amazon at all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do out of stock with Amazon. Now, depending on your methods, you can keep that as in stock, or you could compete with Amazon. You could do Amazon to Amazon flips, but for the purposes of this training, we're going to make them as out of stock. And then for a new third-party seller price, I'm going to put a minimum of $15 currently, and I'm also going to make sure that this average over the last 180 days is over 15. So we've got 28,000 products with over $15 selling price, no Amazon on the listing currently, and over 8 current FBA sellers. Now, if you have a particular category that you like to sell in, then you could actually go ahead and utilize one of these categories. Maybe you like to do clothing and shoes, and you could take a look at all of the opportunities that currently are clothing and shoes opportunities. But you could also start with opportunities that are completely ungated. So as new sellers, there's only 14 categories that you're automatically ungated in anyway. You should use this root category feature to find the ungated items, or at least possible ungated items. You still may be gated in the brands, but that's a separate point. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select the tools and home improvement root category. Now we have 797 products. Now this isn't what we're trying to use to source all of our products. We could utilize this if we wanted, but what I'm trying to do is find one particular ASIN that has a lot of sellers, and then we're going to be able to take those sellers and do some storefront stalking with Keepa to pull in all the products from all the different sellers on that one listing. So you don't need the Keepa Product Finder to start with this method. You could theoretically just start with a lead or another ASIN that you already have. But in this case, we're just trying to find high likelihood ASINs that they are arbitrage or wholesale. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Find Products. Now we're currently looking at tools and home improvement, and I'm going to go ahead and avoid anything like Google Nest, but Milwaukee is a decently ungated brand, so you could use that. You could also utilize Stanley. We could use DeWalt if you're ungated in those brands as well. So it's just kind of about going down this line and looking for brands that you feel comfortable in and brands that you are ungated in. Now in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and utilize one of these tape measures up here. We've got this Stanley. This is a 2-pack. If you scroll over it, we can see the Keepa chart here in the bottom right-hand corner. This one looks fairly steady. What about this one right there? So this one looks good too. I'm going to go ahead and click into this one. And you can see right here, Amazon does pop in on this listing from time to time. There are, it's a pretty steady buy box, around $20 to $25 or so. The sellers are fairly constant. The sells over 1,000 to 2,000 times per month, according to this yellow line here on the monthly sold. And we can see over the last year, it's been fairly steady as well. So what this tells me is that it's either an arbitrage or a wholesale opportunity. And it could be both, but again, I don't fully care about sourcing this ASIN that much. We could go down the rabbit hole of trying to find this Stanley Fat Max tape measure, 25 feet long, and we'd have to probably find this at $10 or so, maybe a little bit less than that. But ultimately, that's not what I'm here for. What I am here for is the data section. Now, underneath the data section, we can see all of the different offers. Once this is done loading, we can see all of the different offers that have ever existed on this listing that Keepa has record of anyway. And since there's so many sellers on this listing, it's taking a little bit while. But we can see now that if I don't have anything else filtered out, we've got 43 total results. This is 43 FBA and FBM sellers combined. Now, if I'm just looking for FBA, I can select FBA only. And now we have 14 total results or other sellers on this listing that's selling this product. Now, what's great is that we don't have to just look at the 14 that are currently on this listing. We can also look at include historical offers. You can see this over here. If I click on include historical offers, now if I scroll over, I can see there are 183 prime or FBA sellers on this listing historically. So it went from 14 current to 183 different sellers historically. And that's huge because we can use those seller storefronts to start looking for potentially profitable ASINs. Because here's kind of the thought process. If we have a bunch of FBA sellers on a listing, that means it's a highly likely or a high likelihood of arbitrage or wholesale. If we then take a look at that one listing that has a lot of potential arbitrage and wholesale sellers, then we extrapolate that out to look at the entirety of the listing, then we've got now over 100, it's 183 different sellers that most likely are getting this on an arbitrage or a wholesale level to be able to resell it on Amazon. That is very powerful. And we want to see what other things that they're selling. This could open up huge potential opportunities for wholesale or arbitrage. And so that's why I love this method. Now, the next thing that you'll want to do after you have this list of 183 is you're going to click on export and you're going to click on all active columns. Now, before you do that, you want to make sure one of your active columns is the seller ID right here. Okay. The way to do that is to actually click on configure columns, and then you can look up ID and you can make sure that seller ID is turned on, because if it's not on there, then this method's going to not work for you. You need to make sure that seller ID is in that list, because whenever we're exporting it, we want these IDs so that we can utilize that for the next step after this. So I'm going to click on export now, all active columns and a CSV file. Now, once that is done loading here, I'm going to open this up and we will take a look at this document. So Keepa is only able to go through 50 seller IDs at a time. So if we wanted to run through this whole list, we'd have to do 4 different of these next steps with the Keepa Data Product Finder, but we're going to just do the first 50. And so if I look at this, I'm going to take the seller ID and I'm going to copy the very first 50 of them, because again, that's the max that Keepa can do. And so now that we're here, but now that I'm done with that, I'm going to move that over here and we're going to go to this website. Now this website is dlim.co. And so this helps us to turn that list of 50 items into a much more user-friendly list for Keepa. So I'm going to paste all of those IDs there, and I'm going to click on this little button. Now here, I'm going to select all of those seller IDs. We need to make sure they're separated by commas for Keepa. And I'm going to copy those and go back to Keepa. Here's where the magic starts to happen. We go back to the advanced filter, make sure to clear the entire form. I don't care about all of the other first search that we did. We scroll down to this sellers section down here. We're going to paste all of those seller IDs. Now, it's pretty amazing how many results this is going to come back with, and we're going to want to filter those down even further to get a good refined list of opportunities. We've got 28 million products just from those first 50 seller IDs. And again, there are another 130 233 in that list, so we could continue to go through and do this process with them. Naturally, we can't go through 28 million products, so we're going to want to go through and get rid of some different opportunities in Keepa, so that way we can find the best of the best. So I'm actually going to scroll down. I'm going to look at a few different filters. Now you can use dozens and dozens of different filters here. That's what I train a lot inside of my Evergreen Sourcing System program, which you can find at askjimmysmith.com/evergreen. We go through all of the filters that exist on Keepa and different ways that you can utilize them. But within that, we want to make sure that we're just going to filter this down. And so I'm going to give you a few good opportunities. So one is the 90 days out of stock percentage. I want to make sure Amazon over the last 90 days has been out of stock at least 60% of the time. So I'm going to put 60, and now we're down to 273,000 products. So we went from 28 million to 273,000 products by making sure that Amazon was out of stock the majority of the time. And now to make that even further, I'm actually going to up that to 80%, and we're looking at now 166,000 products. All right. Now the next thing that I want to do, I want to kind of put a minimum price in here. You don't have to use this, but I like to from time to time. So I'm just going to do 15 on average as a minimum. So that way we know we're not dealing with anything, super cheap. You could also utilize these drop percentages, which I train on regularly in the Evergreen program and in my Business Building Legends program. But inside of these drop percentages, you could look for things with increasing prices or decreasing amounts of sellers, but that is a different topic for a different day. And I'm going to go ahead and put Amazon currently out of stock. So that drops us down to 16,000 products where Amazon is out of stock. We're at $15 minimum price point, and we could go through all of these if we wanted, but let's scroll back down to the offer count, make sure there's at least 3 sellers across the board on average. We can utilize that. And then I'm going to also do FBA just to filter this down further, and we've got 3,000 products with 2 FBA sellers or more. Now if you wanted to even further refine it, you can go back into the categories. We could choose any category we want. In this case, we started with tools and home improvement, but maybe we want to see pet supplies, and that brings us down to 190 products that are pet supplies from those 50 sellers. So we could go through all of those. We'd also go back to tools and home improvement, and there's 578 products from there. We could look at arts and crafts, and there are 5 products in arts and crafts. So let's just use that because there's so few. It'll be a good example to kind of run through here. I'm gonna click on find products. Now there's a few different ones. Now I know a couple of these brands like Gorilla I've heard of. I've never heard of the other 3 here. These may or may not be good products for us to sell on. This is silica gel, it looks like, for flower drying. I'm not even sure what that is. Oh, for like the actual craft of the flower drying. That's interesting. This could potentially be a wholesale type account. This would be one that I would want to go through and source. You can see that there's been good FBA sales prices up around $30 or so. Multiple sellers on this listing. Amazon has come in and out at this price, so that's a little bit concerning because usually we want to see that these are good arbitrage opportunities, and if Amazon's at the same price, then that may not be the best opportunity there. Take a look at these Gorilla Glue sticks. We've got $18 on these, pack of 2. Again, these seem to sell very well. 50 to 100 plus per month. Got a lot of seller movement on these. This would be something that I would definitely want to look into a little bit more. There's a 25 count, it looks like. And so these are, let me see if I can find these anywhere and find a 1 pack. We'd have to get them for fairly cheap. I'm unsure if we would find anything, but let's just see what pulls up. So these are $5.71 at Walmart. These $5.49 at this place. You could also get 32 of them from here, or 12. Let's look at that. The 12 from Michael's stores. And then we may have to make our own little bundle whenever we send it into Amazon. Now, I don't know what the fees are on this particular product, but let's take a look at this. So for this in particular, we need to sell it probably around $20 based off what we were seeing with the Keepa chart here. And let's see what these would actually end up being by what we need to buy these at. Okay, once this loads. Sorry, I got a lot of programs running here, so it might take a second. So we need to make sure to buy this for probably $7 or less, and that's going to be tough. If we look at 7, that would put us at 50% ROI. If we can get it to 8, that'd be at 31% return on investment just from these this 2-pack here. Now again, that's at this 18-14 price point. Amazon had these at 20, and in the past they've been up to around 20 or so, but typically you want to sell these at $18 to $19. So let's see what these end up pulling back at. These are buy in bulk from Michael's, and so you can't use coupons on buy in bulk. You could always see what these would be individually. If you could actually get like a 30% coupon here, it saves you money. Maybe better if you're buying them individually than in bulk. But right now these are $5.84 per pack, and we would need 2 of them, so that wouldn't hit our $7 price point. In this case, with this US Plastic Corp, it's $5.49 as well. If we were to get over 48 of them, it'd be $4.67 per bag. tag that's still a little bit too high. So I would want to continue to source for these products and try to see if I could find a different supplier for them. Or we could potentially find them as a wholesale account if there's the ability to find a distributor for these. And if this is something that you can sell, it may make sense to go through and look for other variations of this type of product. Like Walmart has this. These are a little bit different, I believe, based off the packaging, but it does have the same count size. If we're looking at this, these are 0.27 inches by 4 inches. So these are a little bit different as well. So you could use this as more sourcing criteria. But either way, just looking at this one item here, we can see that there is some potential opportunity. Right now, I think we could probably get it, for anywhere around $9.50 at its lowest point, which would put us at basically break even by the time we prep it and send it into Amazon. But it is still something to keep an eye on. You would want to save this as a lead just in case in the future it came back around where the price point has gone up higher. You could actually set up Keepa to track for you whenever the buy box goes up over $20. So we could set up a tracking alert and say $20 or more. So that way it'll track, and whenever it goes over $20, Keepa will send you an email or a message on your phone if you're using their app to alert you that, hey, this now has gone up in price and it may be a good opportunity for you to purchase. You could also set this up to have the new offer count at, right now we've got 12 sellers on this listing. Let's say we wanted to see any under seven or less sellers, then that may alert us that, hey, the price might be going up again here in the very near future, and you can set up that alert to send to you as well. So there's a lot of opportunities. Keepa isn't just the graph that we see on the Google Chrome extension here. It is also about its data sets, its data features, and really taking a look at what are we trying to do. If you're looking for wholesale accounts, you can craft good Keepa data product finder searches for wholesale. If you're looking for Amazon to Amazon flips, you can use the data product finder to pull back prime potential ASINs that you can buy and send in from an Amazon to Amazon flip perspective. If you're looking for arbitrage opportunities, how do you take a step back from a macro level and look at the obvious potential arbitrage opportunities by finding ones with a lot of sellers on them, and then taking those sellers and searching through all the storefronts for specific types of items that then you can buy and send in. So there's just a whole world of opportunity utilizing Keepa. That's why I train on this in the Evergreen sourcing system so regularly. And it's not just about how do we do Keepa data product finder searches. You can then take this list of ASINs and run it through tactical arbitrage, through a reverse ASIN search. You could run it through Nepeto for a reverse ASIN search, or I think it's called their master search. You could use all types of different sourcing tools where you run the ASINs through them, and then they pull back all the suppliers and all the profitable products. And it's just a beautiful system that you can get set up into your business. So this is just one of the few things. I went through a few of these just gems of what you can do with Keepa, of finding particular items, getting those competitor storefronts, becoming much more precise in the sourcing that you're doing, so that then you can find the best ASINs that exist for arbitrage and wholesale opportunities. And there's so much more that you can do with Keepa that I've covered on this channel and other places. So as I mentioned, if you're interested in the Evergreen sourcing system program that I do consistently, you can head over to askjimmysmith.com/evergreen. And if you're someone that's already built your business over $5,000 per month, then be sure to check out my Business Building Legends community for advanced and serious sellers where you can grow and scale at askjimmysmith.com/legends. I hope this video is eye-opening for you. If you have any questions, post them down below. What are some of your favorite Keepa features? And I hope to see you in the next one, and that you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.